fellow geeks, and welcome back to Running Geek Girl. My name is Heather and I am glad you're here today. If you are new here, make sure that you hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss any of the content that I have coming out all the time. And if this is not your first time here, welcome back. So glad to have you back here in the Geek Den. Now, not too long ago, I gave some of my first impressions of this product right here. And this is the BioLite 200 Lumen Headlamp. Now, BioLite does a lot of products for people that enjoy the outdoors. So things like headlamps and portable charging banks and things like that. They have 3 different headlamps right now. They have the 200 lumen, which is this one. They also have a 330 lumen and a 750 lumen. Now, for my purposes, since I don't tend to go in very dark areas and not for very long anyway, I figured that the 200 lumen would be the best fit for me, but there are some other options available on the website if you'd like to check those out. So I gave you my first impressions on just what I thought about this, and I thought I would come back to it now that I've had a chance to use it on an overnight run, which I did during the Death by 5K. I'll have a link up here if you missed that video, but I did have to do some of my running over the night, and so I made sure that this was charged up and ready to go and used it on my night loops for that race. So let's talk a little bit just about my overall impressions on how it worked. Now, first of all, it held a charge beautifully. There were absolutely no problems with the charge on this. Plus, if you have one of the portable charging banks, then you can always bring the cord along and recharge as needed, but these do stay lit for a long time. Now, if you use it on the high beam, if you're somewhere really, really dark, then that charge is going to last you about 3 or 4 hours. However, if you use the low beam like I did, which lets you see roughly 8 meters ahead of you, then this will last for 40 hours. Yes, so it holds a charge beautifully. It is extremely lightweight. A lot of times you'll even forget that you're wearing it, and the band did not slip. It did not let sweat run into my eyes or anything like that. It was not uncomfortable in any way, and it is adjustable, which is perfect for me because I tend to have kind of a small head and it's really hard to fit things on me sometimes. I had no problem getting this to fit my head, and looking at the strap, it can also go very, very big. So if you have a larger than usual head, then you will find a good fit here. Now, there are several different modes on this. There is red light, low beam, white strobe, red strobe, and a high beam. I have not had to use the high beam, which lets you see as much as 50 meters in front of you. I was in a somewhat lit area, and I just needed to be able to see a little bit ahead of me because I knew the course and knew that there was nothing that I was going to be tripping over. It was a paved track. I would think that maybe if I were out in the middle of the woods, I might use the high beam a little more often, but honestly, the low beam with the 200 lumens worked perfectly for me. It gave me just enough light to see. If you tend to have more of a night blindness problem, then of course you may want to use a higher beam, and therefore maybe you might want to upgrade to one of the brighter lumens. That's just kind of at your own discretion, but I found that this was absolutely perfect for my needs. Also, you'll notice that you are able to tilt this very easily. I could tilt it very easily with one hand once I had it on my head. So this was very easy to adjust and to secure and get it exactly where I needed it once I had it on my head. So that was another great thing that was working for this. One of the cons that I noticed about this is that you kind of need to prepare ahead of time as to which mode that you're going to use, because it can get a little bit confusing if you're not sure exactly what mode you're going to next, because you have to do a certain number of clicks to get to each mode. And so if you're not really sure how many clicks leads you to what mode, then you know it can get a little bit confusing. It'll take some trial and error to figure that out. But thankfully, the first couple of modes that are on this are the red light and then the low beam, and those were really the only 2 that I ever needed, and so that's what worked for me. But if you are going to use more than one mode on this, then definitely study ahead of time how many clicks you need in order to get to each mode. Now, with that being said, one of the great things about this is that it will automatically remember which mode you used last, so that when you turn it back on again, then it will go to the last mode that you used. So it was great because I could set this on low beam, I could turn it off and then turn it back on again later, and it would be back on my low beam again. Or, if I put it on strobe and I turned it off, if I turned it back on, it would be back on my strobe again. So something very useful for that. Another great feature of this is that you can hold the power button down for 8 seconds and it will go into lock mode, and that way you don't accidentally turn it on and run down your battery. It's good if you remember that you did that. However, if you forget that you did that, then you'll have trouble turning it on again until you remember that you need to unlock it again. And I've seen online, there were a lot of people that were complaining about the fact that they couldn't get their headlamp to work right, only for someone to come through and troubleshoot it. And it turns out that the problem was that they didn't take it out of lock mode, and that's what the problem was. So make sure that, if you're going to use that lock mode in order to save your battery, that you remember to take it out of lock mode before you try to use it again. So there you go. Overall, I think that this is a wonderful product. Again, this is by BioLite, and if you'd like to check it out for yourself, I'm going to have a link to this specific headlamp down in the description, but be sure to click through their site because they have a ton of other products that you can take a look at as well. If you need something a little stronger than 200 lumens, then they definitely can hook you up there. So overall, it's comfortable, it's versatile, it's easy to use, with the exception of having to know exactly how to get to which mode you need. But once you have that figured out, once you practiced it a few times, then I would imagine that this would be super easy. But do I plan on using this again for night runs? Absolutely. There's a couple of shorter overnight races that I have looked at, and so if I end up doing those, then this is definitely one that I'm going to be taking with me. If you are interested in checking this out for yourself, again, the link is down below. This retails for around $40 US, so it's very affordable, and definitely one that you might want to take a look at. So there you go. Those are my experiences using the BioLite Headlamp 200 lumens. Did you find this helpful or useful information? Then why don't you let me know down in the comments below, or maybe let me know what type of headlamp you are using, and maybe what you would recommend to other runners who are watching this channel. This is your second reminder that if you haven't subscribed, make sure you hit the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a thing, and it keeps you up to date on all the running adventures that I'm having all the time. You can also follow me on social media. All the links are down in the description. You can find me across all platforms under the name Running Geek Girl. Thanks so much for watching. I'm so glad you could be here, and I can't wait to see you next time. Remember to laugh hard, run fast, and be kind. See you guys later.